The northwesternmost region of Sumatra Island, once belonged to the mighty kingdom of Samudra Pasai, reached its golden age in 17th century under the rule of Sultan Iskandar Muda. This sultanate exercised its power to as far as West Sumatra to the south and Malay Peninsula to the east. This vast territory included the Strait of Malacca, then the most important sea transportation hub in the world. Ruling the Strait of Malacca has put Samudra Pasai as a prosperous and influential kingdom, though it did not come without a cost. There were times when the strait had to be fought over. With its strong maritime force, Samudra Pasai was able to repel those intruders, which among others was the Portuguese. Kingdoms rise and fall in Sel. With the waning power of Samudra Pasai, this part of Sumatra eventually had to succumb to the power of the Great Britain and the Netherlands. Aceh is how this region called. The story of their struggle for freedom did not end with the Dutch rule. Instead, the guerrilla war was waged for nearly a century, only to end when the Japanese came triumphantly. And then came the unstoppable wave of freedom. Nations rose against colonialism. The old Dutch East Indies was born anew as Indonesia, which Aceh came out with its full support during this process. Even for a brief period of time during the early years of hardship, the Republic had to rely on Aceh as their capital. For this newborn republic with nothing in possession, it was the people of Aceh who has donated the very first aeroplane. It is called Seulawah, Aceh word for mountain of gold. Aceh is indeed rich of gold, which is just one among lots of natural resources hidden in its dense and mountainous interior. The people of Aceh has embraced Islam for centuries, and so has most of the Indonesians. Acehnese, who call their land as the ports of Mecca, believe that as Muslims they have to uphold the law of Sharia. This is what differs them from most of the Indonesians. This matter culminated with a struggle to establish their own Islamic state, independent from the Republic. This has led to decades of bloody guerrilla war. The stubborn resistance of the fighters, combined with dense jungle and harsh terrain, has never made easy victory to be an option, both for the Dutch and later for Indonesian. One morning on December the 26th, 2004, an earthquake shook the sea and land by surprise. followed by huge waves of tsunami, wreaked havoc the western shoreline of Aceh. The ordeal has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. Exhausted by armed conflict and then the devastating tsunami, Aceh fighters had to take another approach to reach their goals. On August 15, 2005, in Helsinki, Finland, an agreement was signed by both parties. Aceh retains its status as a province of Indonesia, officially called as Nanggro Aceh Darussalam. As a Nanggro, which means a country, Aceh is granted with privileges, among others is to have its own political parties. And for what they have always been fighting, Aceh was granted a privilege to implement Sharia law on its people. The implementation of Sharia law is obvious in Aceh. During the Friday prayer and every day during Maghrib prayer, when the sun sets, any activity has to be suspended and might be resumed after the prayer. The year of 2021 marked the end of secular banks in Aceh. Since then on, only Sharia banks are allowed to operate. As both national law and Sharia law are on implementation, for each, an enforcement instrument is made available. For Sharia, the instrument is the dreadful Wilayatul Hisbah. Yet, Wilayatul Hisbah is only one among many special institutions established to guide the people to walk the Islamic way of life.
MPD, Majelis Pendidikan, dan juga Baitul Mal, Majelis Bidang Pembagian ZIS, dan juga MPU, Majelis Fatwa Ulama, termasuk MAA. Tugasnya, fungsi Majelis Adat Aceh itu sudah termasuk dalam UU-PA sesuai dengan hasil kesepakatan MO Helsinki yang bahwa lembaga adat ini termasuk dalam kategori lembaga istimewa. Mungkin kalau di daerah lain bahasanya nama instansinya itu bukan MAA, bisa jadi Mahkamah Adat ataupun lembaga adat gitu. Nah, seperti di Riau itu kan pemangku adatnya bukan bersifat kantor, tetapi itu dipandu oleh seorang yang ditunjuk sebagai petua adat. Kalau kita di Aceh ini sudah menjadi instansi pemerintahan. Nelayan 30% pada dulunya itu apapun yang dilakukan oleh adat Aceh itu ada berkaitan dengan ajaran-ajaran Hindu. Akan tetapi setelah dipatuakan oleh ulama-ulama Aceh, agenda apa yang berkaitan dengan season adat itu yang sudah dirilis oleh ulama-ulama Aceh yang tidak melanggar dengan aturan-aturan syariah, aturan-aturan agama. Mau turun ke sawah, itu ada istilahnya melakukan upaya ritual seperti kenuri blang, kenuri laut. Nah, tapi bedanya dengan daerah Bali, kita orang Aceh cuman dalam agenda kenuri laut itu bidang laut, itu tidak menggunakan sesaji. Cuma kita cukup melakukan upaya berdoa bersama, tahlilan, wiritan, dan samadiyah. Nah, itu yang sering dilakukan. Artinya tidak bertentangan dengan aturan-aturan Islam. kanun itu peraturan antara daerah ini dengan daerah lain. Itu ada perbedaan peraturan, tidak sama. Tetapi secara umum kalau persoalan adat itu sama, tapi resamnya dan kanunnya yang beda. Itu dipandu oleh Putropang. Maka di sini di MA itu ada Kabid Putropang. Kemudian persoalan resam, seperti hias menghias pelaminan, aturan-aturan pelaminan itu berkaitan dengan resam. Resam itu adalah istilah katanya peraturan daerah, peraturan kampung. Nah, seperti misalnya orang Medan mau menikah dengan orang Aceh, resepsinya diadakan di Aceh. Nah, artinya melalui resam tadi orang Medan tetap mengikuti aturan adat Aceh, tidak boleh menggunakan adat Medan kalau resepsinya di Aceh.
Aceh ini keturunan kalau kita ambil kan dari India, ya, Arab, ya, Portugis, jadi bercampur. Adat ini dengan istiadat, ini adat tetap. Kalau istiadat berbeda, istiadat lain daerah, lain adatnya. Itu namanya istiadat. Makanya di Aceh ini ada berapa macam adat berbeda-berbeda karena ada jenis suku yang berbeda. Ada gayo alat, ya kan? Dia lain bahasa. Suku gayo luas, Semelu, dia ngaku kan suku Aceh, tetapi dia ada bahasa tersendiri. Maka dia pakai adat istiadat itulah. Itu beda lagi. Nah, di Gayo ada beda juga, tetapi yang berfokus kepada adat Aceh. Ada juga Senabang, ada Aceh asli. Nah, tapi persentase kebanyakan itu asli Aceh. Di syariat Islam dengan adat istiadat ini berkait, bersinambung dia, ya, tidak terlepas. Jadi jangan sampai melanggar adat istiadat. Kalau sudah melanggar syariat Islam, berarti sudah melanggar adat istiadat.
Seperti istilahnya kalau kita bikin kebun itu, adat itu adalah pagar. Pemerintah bisa kuat ketika adatnya kuat. Pemerintah akan hancur ketika adat istiadatnya lemah. Dan juga begitu generasi. Ketika adat ini nggak kuat, maka generasi kita akan cenderung pada arah yang tidak baik. Maka orang Aceh kalau berkaitan dengan agama dan adat, itu nggak tahu dia besok mau mati nggak masalah. Nah, ini orang Aceh. Kalau berkaitan penghinaan terhadap adat dan agama, itu dia rela mengorbankan nyawa sendiri demi mempertahankan harga diri adat istiadat.